What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Release Valve. I am your host, Sean Hanlon. I got my co-host, Kyle Spain. How are you, sir? Welcome back. What is good in your hood?
I am feeling fantastic. I'm tired, but I'm bringing a different energy today. Feel it in my tone, people. Today, last episode was a different one. A little bit foggy brained, a little bit more tired, but the approach and mindset that we've been talking about in our clips, man, have sunken in. First of all, I want to give glory to God because the way I'm approaching this is different from the way I've been approaching this previous. Obviously, we're on here to help as many people as possible, but I feel like I was doing it, not to say for, I wasn't doing it for God. I was doing it more for myself. And I think that changes my frequency, it changes my energy and how I'm approaching this, because now I don't have any fear of what people might think, any fear of where this is going and how this is going to turn out. I'm here to spread the truth, man. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to serve God. And what does it mean to serve God? For me, that is to utilize the talents that God has given you to impact and to change the lives of others, man. And with that mindset, I feel like I've been getting, I just feel better. I just feel more fulfilled. And here to change lives, man, to take people out of the matrix more so. But I feel amazing, man, because I one of the things I wanted to talk about today was clarity, and I feel like what we're doing is just a lot more clear than it has been before. And this is something that we've been doing for a while, but it hasn't been the forefront of what we've been doing. And I think a lot of that has to do with the distractions and everything else that goes around us, man. So I feel amazing, bro, to be on here, excited to be home, man. And I feel like that's important, man. But how are you doing, my man? How are you, my brother, man?
I feel like the tables have turned a little bit. I'm a little frustrated with all the the issues I was having getting on here. The enemy was on the attack, which leads me to believe that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what the conversation we're supposed to have. This is where I'm
Amen
supposed to
to
be
that.
at. I'm home, like you said. I'm feeling good in that regard. So keeping my eyes on the prize, man. Keeping my eyes on the prize and not allowing the obstacles that arise to derail me and take me off track, right? Which is a big thing that we were talking about last episode, was not allowing the negatives that we don't plan for to throw us off, and for us to just give up and not do anything, right? That's that anything above zero compound. So I'm glad that we made it. I'm glad that we're on here having this conversation, man. It feels good, and I'm already feeling better even after just saying that.
Man, even after you said that, I just got goosebumps. It's just like, yeah, let's go, man. And I reflected back on one of my Student of the Game podcast, and I was watching myself, and I was like, I sound a little robotic. I was like, I sound like I'm like, all right, question answer, question answer. Like, let's just have some fun. Let's just communicate, conversate, and to talk about the importance of connection, communication. This world is wild, man. This world is absolutely wild. And I feel like a lot of us have the blinders on. My blinders are still, God is still chipping away at my blinders. But understanding the everyday battles and starting to understand the pattern in which life takes and how to break those patterns. It's been a slow process for me to break these patterns, but now I feel like I'm on the upper end of it. And we talk about obstacles, we talk about expectations we have for ourselves, expectations we have for the day, and our programming has resulted in us going into our days and expecting negative responses, or being in situations, a lot of circumstances, to where we're playing the victim. or not necessarily, I don't want to say playing the victim because it's not something that, we're purposely doing, on a daily basis, but we fall into that victim mindset. Making mistakes was one of the things that I wanted to talk about. You know, at first I'm like, we've been taught to, we've been taught otherwise, but I realized, with my kids that we have, it's in our human nature for us to hate mistakes or hate making mistakes. And, my kids get so mad when they make mistakes, and, everyone wants to be right. No one wants to be wrong, and no one wants to fail because everyone wants to be right. We hate making mistakes, but mistakes are the essential part of learning, right? We all want to be right. And what I mean by that is, like, we all want to have the answers. We all want to be a know-it-all, or we want to be a know-it-all. And I think there's a difference, because if we wanted to know it all, we'd be in more of a mindset of learning and being receptive versus trying to have all the answers. And that's just something that I'm learning, right? And I think that it's not that I think we have to start accepting failure. We have to start accepting mistakes. We have to start embracing mistakes, because that's the only way that's going to move us forward. Fear of making mistakes leaves us paralyzed. Doubt results in paralysis and doesn't even allow us to start. And I've come to find out that action trumps doubt. But without action, without belief, there's no action, and action is what reveals the next step, man. So this is all stuff that I'm starting to learn, as we're continuing this process of keeping it going and keeping it growing. Just trying to provide some awareness and perspective for ourselves, and then sharing all of that knowledge to other people in the world so they can find their path, find their way, find their home, right? Because ultimately is what we're trying to do here, man. So how do you feel, and how do you respond to your mistakes? And what is your thought process behind mistakes?
That was something I struggled with, majorly struggled with as when I was younger. I didn't like looking like I didn't know what I was doing, at the same time having no idea what I was doing, right? So yeah, I was very big on, fake it till you make it type of thing, and big facade always put up. I lied a lot in order to, yeah, not look stupid in my eyes. You know what I mean? That's how I felt like other people would look at me if I didn't know what was going on, or if I didn't know, the answer, or whatever the case is.
Judgment.
Yeah, a big fear of judgment, especially when I was in school. So, I had such high anxiety when I was in school, because yeah, I was always scared that I was going to get called upon and I didn't know what was going on. I was a horrible student because of that too. You know what I mean? I didn't. I chose not to apply myself in a lot of ways because I felt like I would look cooler if I didn't try, if I wasn't that, like, bookworm, or whatever the case
Right.
is. If I'm not going to know the answer, it's because I'm choosing to not know the answer, not because I'm not smart enough to know it. So I struggled with that growing up, even in my 20s. I didn't like looking foolish. So it wasn't, I want to say I was probably when I hit 30, when I just kind of shifted my mindset naturally. It wasn't even necessarily a concentrated thought that I had. I just kind of switched things up. I think I was tired of living the life that I was living, living that lie. And if I didn't know something, I would admit it. Then I feel like that's kind of when, for me, I started looking at myself as a student of life. And we've used that term a few times on here, but that's when it really started kicking in for me, that oh, I can learn by paying attention, by adapting, by asking questions. I can learn by saying I don't know. And I used to be scared of that. I again, a lot of this is fear based. I was very scared to just admit that I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know the answer. I don't know what we're doing, what's going on right now. We had that episode with KJ, shout out to Kevin. And one of the terms that he used was, I forget in which context he was using it, but he was saying, "I'm not afraid to play the fool." That really hit home for me. That for me was like, yeah, like that's big for me now. Now I don't care if I don't understand what the situation is. I love looking things up. I love doing research on stuff. If I don't know the answer, my kids will ask me something and be like, I don't know, let's look that up. And now it's become a thing. If somebody asks me something, like, oh, he's going to look it up. Like, yeah, I'm going to look it up. I want to learn. Like you said, I
Man,
love that you said the difference between a know-it-all and wanting to know it all.
yeah,
I feel like that's kind of where I fall under now is, I want to learn as much as possible. I never want to not learn. I love learning new things. That's why I love this podcast so much when we get guests to come on here. I love hearing about their experiences with things. I love hearing about, their perspective on stuff. I love hearing new points of views, things that somebody can say something I could say, oh wow, I never thought of it like that before. That's one of my favorite things now. So I'm definitely a lot better with it. I'm definitely, like I said, a student of life now. I look forward to coming across things that I don't know the answers to. I look forward to learning new things. Um, I still have my moments of being in fear of not knowing so or being the only one that doesn't know. But I think I handle it better now. I think I don't shy away from it as much as I used to. I'm still a human being. I still have my moments, but I definitely enjoy learning. Whereas I feel like growing up, everybody already knew the things that I was trying to learn, so I was behind the curve, and I didn't like that feeling. So now it's like, yeah, bring it on. What else can I learn? What else can I apply? What else can I adopt? That's going to make me a better human being, a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better friend. I want to hear these things. I want to learn. And that's something that I've 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 had these conversations with my wife too. In the past when we've gotten into it about stuff, she would get mad at me over things that she felt like I should know. And so I told her, I was like, if I'm doing something or not doing something that is upsetting you or that you feel like that I should be doing or shouldn't be doing, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not looking to cause any waves here. So let me know, and then I'll have that understanding of what the situation is, and then I can try to get better at it. I can either start doing the thing or not doing whatever it is that's bothering you. And yeah, I'm never doing or not doing anything out of spite. I'm just not aware of it. So let me know, and now I know going forward, what the situation is.
oh man, there is so much from that. I try to write it down as fast as possible.
Sorry, man, I was going off.
No, don't, please don't. I need to be better at. I need to be a better note taker. I need to be a better note taker. I just want to go back and say how much I love this podcast, our podcasts, and what we're doing, man. The being thought provoked, it essentially goes right. It falls right into the category of what we're talking about as far as learning. And I want to talk about the expectation and communication of what you were just saying about your wife. But let me try and go back and talk about a Myron Golden episode that I was watching, and he was talking about arguing, right? And he's like, I know when I argue with you that I'm right at least 50%, or that I'm right, at least 50% of the right, or at least 50% of the time. And I'm probably botching this. I'm for sure botching this. He's like, he said, I'm right, and I want to know why I'm right. I'm botching this, right? He said, if I'm wrong, he said, I want to know why I'm wrong. Botching this, like I said, basically what he was saying is, he said, if your approach and your answer is better than mine, I want to know why, right? And what he meant by that is if there's a better answer or a better solution to a question, why not try and learn what that answer is? Right, I'm trying to find that clip because I'm definitely botching it. But what I got from that is he stopped trying to be right. You know, in a conversation, an argument, it was trying to figure out what the best possible solution is or decision is, or in that conversation. And
Yeah.
how I took that is like where my mind went was, it's like, man, it's like when I like so, let's go back to the let's go back to your wife thing, because that brought me that brought something up to me. I remember Amanda had came home from work. She had a late night, and she was upset with me that I found out later. You know, we would talk about that communication and expectation. We're not mind readers, right? We have to be able to communicate what we're feeling, so our significant other or the person on the other side of the communication or of dialogue understands what's going on. Otherwise, you know, there's going to be a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication within your relationships. So communication, first and foremost, is extremely important so we can understand each other, especially because we're always evolving, right? We've had this conversation before, how every day we're exposed to relatively the same cycles, but different stimuli on a daily basis. We're going to see different cars, different people. We're going to cross paths. Something's going to be different. Something might happen within the day that changes our experience. And whether that's a good experience or a bad experience, trauma or something, or good memories, it's going to change and mold the way that our identity and how we see things and what we believe in. Right. So that's why we never stay the same. Our relationships never stay the same. How we feel about, I always use the pickle analogy. I've told you about the pickle analogy with
Yep.
Amanda, right? She did not like pickles before, and now she does. And that's just an easy example of how we change. So communication is key. We're not mind readers. But I used to get, internally defensive because I hated being in the wrong. Right. I hate being in the wrong. So I'm always like trying to come up with excuses as to justify why I was wrong. And when Myron Golden said what he said on that podcast or the YouTube video, it completely changed my perspective and how I approach things. If I want to be a better person, a better husband, a better father, a better son, then I have to take accountability for what happened, accept what I did, and make those changes, instead of playing the victim and being like, well, this and this happened, that's why I did this. This and this happened, well, that's why this happened. Well, it wasn't my fault, right? And it completely changed the way that I approach things, trying to be a Mr. Know-it-all, right? You're blocking your ability to learn more. And I love knowledge because it's a form of abundance. You won't live long enough to learn everything there is to learn on the earth. And I love that idea because there's so much to learn. And I love being, again, thought provoked. And I say that because I love being mind blown. I love learning new things that put me in awe. And I'm just like,
Right.
wait, what? Like that's possible? Because we live in a world of disbelief and doubt, that when things happen, we're in shock, we're in awe. And so learning has taken a different role, has played a different role in my life. And I'm excited about what we're doing and what the future has to hold for us and everybody else in the world, if they learn to accept mistakes, if they learn to be open to what other people have to say, regardless of if they disagree or not, being open to taking accountability for their actions, and being on this path of being a student of being a student of the game, right? Being a student of life. Right. Man, I love that you said that, man. Because now I'm a sponge. I'm trying to learn as much as possible. I'm still getting rid of like the distractions that my subconscious still holds on to. But every day I wrote down like a thought of the day yesterday, and it's like every minute is an opportunity to get better. Every minute is an opportunity to improve. and we waste so much time in our distractions, so much time in believing things aren't possible, when action will reveal the next step, whether that's having to taking a piece of the puzzle off and reinserting another one, or realizing that that was the piece that fits and getting to the next step. Even if it's a step that we aren't, happy with, it's still a step in figuring out that's not the right answer, right? So I think that's important for this journey, and it called life, finding our purpose. And I'm rambling right now. If you want something to say, you can go ahead and cut me off. Like, shut up, Kyle. It's all good.
No, man. Say, I take, obviously I didn't hear that episode with Myron Golden, but I was thinking the same thing. I think I was thinking the same thing that you were, your takeaway from it, where, if I'm wrong, like in my,
I want to know why I'm wrong. Yes.
Well, yeah, exactly. My point of view is I'm right.
Yeah.
So if I'm wrong, I'm unaware that I'm wrong, and I need you to let me know why and how I'm wrong to change my point of view from it. It's not like I know that I'm wrong and I'm just doubling down on it because I don't care.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's
what I mean?
facts.
Like, some people are like that, and I used to be like that. That's why I can say that. But now it's like, I'm looking to live the best, happiest, most fulfilling life that I possibly can. So I'm not trying to waste any time by playing any games, purposely doing things that I know I shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to get as smooth with my actions as possible. So yeah, if I'm wrong, educate me. Let me know, what it is. And I understand one of my favorite quotes, I've said it on here plenty of times, as thin as it is, even a piece of paper has two sides to it. So let me know your side. Let me know where you're coming from and how you feel that you're right. Because a lot of times there's just some sort of little detail somewhere that causes that disconnect.
Man.
And that's the different point of view that we are coming from, right? So let me hear your side of it, where you're coming from, where what you have going on, and then I'll let you know where I'm coming from, and let's meet in the middle somewhere. So that was a big thing with me for a long time, especially when I was younger. I've said it to my wife so many times. You would not have liked me when I was younger, because I didn't argue like this, and I don't mean argue like her and I scream at each other or anything like that, but our disagreements would have been very different when I was younger. There was plenty of times that I knew I was wrong, but I had to, I couldn't admit it. I couldn't be vulnerable to that degree. So yeah, I had to get loud. I had to get angry. I had to justify, like you said, if I was doing wrong, I had to justify why. Well, it's not my fault. It's because of ABC, X, all these other reasons why I did the things that I did, or I said the things that I said. So really, it's your fault. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I don't know if I'm sure a part of it is just maturity, but a big part of me was, I can sit back and look at all these negative things that are going on that are upsetting me. But at the end of the day, the common denominator in all of these things is me. So I need to readjust my mindset about all of this and stop allowing myself to do and say negative things that are making things worse, simply because I feel that I'm justified in doing so. So once I had that mindset shift, it really changed my emotions and how I feel about a lot of things. And so, yeah, man, like I said, now it's just, I'm trying to do as right as I possibly can in as many situations as possible. And again, I'm still human. I have my moments of succumbing to my frustrations or anger or something like that. But in those moments, I really try to practice the come around. Go separate myself if I need to, mull it over, think about it, come back. We're like, all right, listen, I shouldn't have yelled like that. I shouldn't have said this, or I shouldn't have, whatever, fill in the blank. I apologize. That, aside from if I feel like I had the right to do so, I didn't need to. And for that, I'm sorry. And, kudos to my wife, because she's really good. We call it the come around. She's really good at coming back around to him, like, my apologies. I don't know why I said that, or I don't know why I did that, or whatever, and then we're good going forward, because you're not always going to have the best response to something, especially if you get caught off guard with something that you weren't prepared to talk about, or you weren't prepared to feel, or whatever. You may not have a great first initial reaction to it, but if you can have that moment of clarity, that self-reflection, I don't like how I was just acting, I don't like how I just responded to that, let me communicate that. I wasn't ready for you to tell me the thing that you told me. I had a bad reaction to it. I apologize. This is how I really feel, And again, being a human being, we're not always going to have that great reaction, but if you can have that great comeback around, I think that makes all the difference in the world in communication and going forward with it.
Absolutely, man. And it's funny. I'm not sure if it's a female thing, if it's a woman thing. I'm sure, obviously, there's going to be different levels on the spectrum of those that are better at doing it than others. But I wasn't good at it either, man. Like I said, I hate being wrong. So for me, having to admit that I was wrong, it was definitely pulling teeth. It would be like, it would take me. I'd be like, all right. Well, it would take me a second to be like, I didn't mean to. I apologize, right? Like I didn't. But it's so important for relationships because it shows you humility. Dropping your pride and actually, being apologetic for something that really helps. That really helps the relationship, man. And
100%.
Dang, what was I about to say? Being apologetic. It's like when like you're crossing paths or you're out in public, you're coming around the corner in the store or something like that, and you're about to bump into somebody, and if you say, "Oh, I'm sorry," or "Pardon me," like it's everything was like, "Oh, okay, that's okay," right? But it's only okay because you said sorry or you made it known that you weren't trying to do it. I come around that same corner, I bump into you, and I just keep it pushing. How are you going to feel? You're not going to feel the same way. You're not going to be like, oh well, he was sorry, he didn't mean to do that. It's like, nah, you're going to think that it was malicious. So when you don't apologize, it comes off like not necessarily malicious
Like
per
you
se.
don't care.
Exactly, but it comes off like you don't care, like you wanted that, like you were trying to be mean, like you wanted that to happen. So being apologetic it's extremely important as far as what was your approach, what were your intentions, right?
Right.
So
right.
in relationships, that's extremely important.
I love the. I just heard this not too long ago. Oh no, yeah, I think it was Jay Shetty on that one episode where he said, "Judge others by their intentions, judge yourself by your actions." And I think that's huge because I used to judge myself by my intentions and other people by their actions. I used to flip it, right?
Giving them benefit of the doubt, yeah.
Right. In my mind, it was like, oh, yeah, if you cut me off or if you bumped into me, you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you meant to upset me. You meant to disrupt what I
Yeah.
had going on.
Yeah.
But if I did it, well, I didn't mean to. So why are you so angry? You know what I
Right.
mean? So I knew my intentions on things, but
Yeah.
other people don't, right? So I love that. I love that saying, judge others by their intentions, judge yourself by your actions. So yeah, if you get into that situation at the grocery store, you don't apologize, you just keep on moving. That's an action, right? So that person is going to assume that, yeah, you did that on purpose. You don't care. You're just out here living in your own little world and you don't care how it affects anybody else. So, yeah, they're going to get defensive about that. So, yeah, man, that's big. Being able to apologize, being able to admit fault. Obviously, it's not easy, but again, like so many other aspects, so many other things that we talk about on here, it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Now, for me, I don't care about quote unquote winning. I don't care about getting ahead. I don't care about being on coming out on top type of thing. Like for me, it's if I were to, again, I'm going on a tangent, but I used to have real bad road rage. Same exact thing that we're talking about. I always assumed that people were trying to, screw me over on purpose. So I would flip out, make things worse or whatever. Oh man, I would get so angry. And for me now, I don't care about getting ahead on that person, trying to cut back and cut them off and flip them off as I go by, or whatever, let them know how angry they made me or whatever. At the worst now, I give a thumbs down. Like, oh, bad move, man. Like, you know what I mean? I give a thumbs down.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't flip people off anymore. I don't scream. I don't yell. I'm not looking to come out on top. Because if it gets into a heightened situation and somebody wants to pull over and fight or whatever, you win, man. You win. It's all good. Keep it moving. We both got somewhere to be, so let's get there safe. I don't care anymore about. I've definitely been able to strip myself of that part of my ego, to where it's like, all right, I don't need to win this. I'm all set with that. You know what I mean?
Man, that's huge. And you never know what people are going through. And you said assumption, and that sparked a thought that I had with something that I had mentioned to you earlier. I feel like we've talked about expectation, but I'm about to go on a tangent. But I think that things need to be said over and over and over again, because it validates truth. And sometimes, we need to hear things over and over and over again for them to sink. But expectation, we need to shift our expectations in different aspects of the word, and stop assuming that people know, or stop assuming that. And what I mean by assumption is, stop coming up with your own ideas on what other people are thinking about things, right? And so, for example, putting out an episode, nobody's going to like this, right? How do you know, right? You're just assuming that, right? It's just an assumption that's based off of your feeling, expectations. You're talking about your wife, and she expected you to know that, right? She assumed that because what are X, Y, and Z reasons that you should know that. And I just realized this, I forget what it was that made me come to this idea, but we assume that things aren't going to work, and we assume people are going to feel a certain type of way, and we have no idea what's going on in their mind. We have no idea what's going on with their lives. And there was an Ed Milet show that I was looking at, or a podcast that I was listening to, and I'm not going to botch this too, but a part of the podcast he was talking about, he was at dinner with his family, and there was this family at a table that was kind of acting rowdy and all that crazy stuff, and for some reason the daughter asked the dad to pay for their for their meal. And come to find out, the family that was being rowdy had a loss in the family. There was just all kinds of things that were going on, like a death in the family, and there was all kinds of things that they were experiencing for them to be acting in the way that they were. And so you talk about, getting cut off in road rage, and that person is like maybe rushing, but why are they rushing, right? You talk about the Jay Shetty thing with, judge people by their intentions, not their actions. And I believe that if we remove the assumption and have different expectations for people, I believe that not only helps us, but it helps the situation, because we have the fear of things not working out because of the uncertainty. We have a fear of failing, and we have and that's an assumption. And because of that assumption, we don't ever try, or we fail to try. or we don't try at all, or we get stuck in this analysis paralysis thing, and it holds us back from actually learning what's actually possible. And that kind of leads into my next question for you is, like, what do you think leaves people stuck? Why don't people start? And how do we change that?
That's a tough one, man. I think for most people, obviously everybody is different. Every scenario is going to be different, but I think for most people, we get caught up in the comfortability of our daily lives. We're comfortable in that aspect of things. It's hard for us to break through and try something new. I think for a lot of people, when it comes to trying something new, I think there's also the uncertainty and the fear behind, what if this goes wrong? What if this, doesn't work out, or whatever the case is. So I think it's just a matter of, a big thing is, all right, what's the worst case scenario that could possibly happen as a result of me trying this, right? Like, think about the worst thing and then give weight to that. What is it? If I try, fill in the blank, I'm going to be kind of vague here. If I'm trying something new, the worst possible thing that could happen is I'm in the exact same position that I'm in right now. Depending on what it is, you go to try, skydiving. What's the worst thing that can happen? I could die. All right. Well, that's a pretty heavy, you know what I mean? That's a pretty heavy,
it's a heavy risk.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of weight to put onto that. So, but as far as like, let's put ourselves into our high school self and let me go talk to this girl, right? What's the worst thing that could possibly happen? She's not into me. All right, well, I'm in the exact same position I'm in right now because she wasn't into me before I tried saying anything to her either, right? So, and not looking at those things as if they're the end of the world, not looking at certain things, again, attaching the appropriate amount of weight to them in your life. What's the big thing that we're afraid of as far as, what it is that we're going to try, and how much is that going to affect my life going forward? If it's not going to affect my life going forward, then, why not give it a try? If the reward of it, the reward of trying is bettering my life or bettering the life of whoever, just putting me in a better situation, putting somebody else in a better situation. Am I going to be a better person by getting what it is that I want if I try this? If the answer is yes, and there's really not a lot of, risk involved, yeah, give it a try, because the worst thing that can happen is that I'll be in the exact same position I'm in now.
Man, I love that I asked that question because it sparked some ideas. What's the worst that can happen? I absolutely love it. What's the worst case scenario? And of course, in a lot of different situations and circumstances, the risks are going to be different, right? Like you just explained.
Right.
But let's reframe that. What happens if you don't try? Right?
Yeah, because sometimes being in the position that you're in now is a bad thing, and you need to get away from that, right? Yeah.
Right. So if we're talking about our dreams and the things that we're trying to go for, we're this life that we're trying to obtain, that everyone really wants a happy life, right? But the know-how, the distractions, the limited beliefs, the comfortability, the comfort spaces, not afraid to take a leap of faith, the risk, the fear of failure, all of that. What happens if you don't chase your dreams? What happens if you don't chase that passion of yours? And this is a fresh reminder for myself, right? The worst case scenario, you're left where you're at, but what does that look like for you 20, 30 years down the line, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because I was watching another podcast, and it was this a priest, I guess. I believe it was a priest or a pastor. And he did a lot of services for people that were on their way out, right? Okay. And he was like, rarely if not ever, did I ever hear anyone talk about their their material possessions. No one. It was always like, I wish I would have done this. Family, things that aren't material. Like nobody's on their deathbed talking about, well, like, I want to bring this car with me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right.
a lot of people get to their deathbed and they're in regret for not taking that leap of faith, right? And with AI going on, man, this is a topic for another day, so I'll keep that short. It's a video that I saw the other day. It just seems like chaos is coming, and I don't know when it's coming, but it's definitely shortened my perspective on how long I'm going to be on this earth, right? It's really like, like a bomb. You clip the wire, and now the time is starting to speed up, right, instead of slow down, and that's where I'm at, and I believe that's a good thing, because I think about my age, and I'm fairly young, but if we're talking about
Fairly.
average age, I
You
say
are
fairly.
young, man. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying
you're-
that I'm old. I'm not saying that I'm old, but I'm not saying that I'm young either, because time is short. You know what I mean? And 38 years have gone by, and I'm not living my best life yet. I have another 38 years, God willing, to get this right, to really live a life of fulfillment. And that's not long at all. My son is 11 years old, and I know people have older kids. Time has just been going by crazy fast. Crazy fast. And in that episode we talked about last week with Ed Milet and was it Shia, right?
Sahil Bloom.
Sahil Bloom, yes. How many holidays do you have left with your family?
Right.
Like, how much time do you actually have time? How much time do you actually have to create memories? Because we talk about reflection, we talk about perspective, and reflection is where you ultimately get your growth from. Reflection it requires what happened yesterday, what happened the week before, what happened at that event. Memories. Was that a good time? Was that a bad time? That's ultimately where we find our fulfilling moments, is spending time with ones that we love.
Right.
And if we're not careful, we're going to be at age whatever it is, and upset that we didn't strive to live the life that we're all deserving of, man. So I'm not old, but I'm not young either. I'm not in that. I'm not in that set mind. I mean, we've had people that have already passed last year, bro. Like, we people that we know dying in their 30s.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Heart attacks and whatever the case is. My condolences out to Jasmine and her family. Jasmine Walters. That's one of the craziest things, and that was that last February was Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is there's my concept of time is changing, and we need everybody else to get on board with that. Let's chase these dreams. Let's find this fulfillment. Let's live the most fulfilling life that we can. And the fear is holding us back from it's a big barrier that's holding all of us back from really learning what it's like to live. And I say learning because when you take that little leap of faith, no matter how big it is, and you find out what's on the other side, like, it's like, man, that was exhilarating. That was that dope rush you get when you accomplish. I want to say accomplish a sense of achievement and accomplish are essentially the same thing. But when you have acquired of achievement, it's one of the greatest feelings that we can exude or experience rather, within our human nature, bro, our human lives, man. So, what happens if you don't? What happens if you don't try and chase your dreams? What does your life look like then?
I think a big thing for a lot of people is hanging on to specific dreams and not allowing themselves to to dream new things, to try new things. Some people, I want to be, fill in the blank. I want to be a professional athlete, and then they hit their 30s or 40s or whatever, and they're like, oh well, that's not going to happen anymore. So my life sucks. Well, all right, maybe it's time to come up with a new dream. You know what I mean? Don't hang
Yeah.
on to this one dream your entire life, and then say that your life sucks because of you not accomplishing that dream. Continue to dream, continue to pursue new things in life. Like for me, I wanted to be a mixed martial artist. I wanted to get into MMA. There was a certain time period in my life that was like, I think I could make it to the UFC. Looking back on it now, like, all right, come on, now, man. But so for a long time, I stopped working out. I stopped trying different aspects of martial arts. I stopped doing everything altogether, and it was like I for a long time I held on to that. Oh man, I wish I would have stayed with it. I wish I would have kept going. I can only imagine where I would have been if I stayed doing it. And then it got to a point, having kids and them getting into martial arts, and then being at that gym. Shout out to NCK Bellingham. I feel like I talk about them a lot. I have to because they're a big part of my life now. Um, I got that itch again of wanting to do something, and so my dream changed. I got a new dream of just getting back into those type of things, trying new things. I'm taking karate now. Got back into kickboxing, taking karate, and now I have new aspirations. Now I have new things that I want to accomplish. Now I have new things that I want to achieve. Now I have a mindset of I don't even know what else is going to come up that I'm going to want to get into, that I'm going to want to try, that I'm going to want to, go after. So, be open to trying new things. Be open to chasing new dreams. Be open to being inspired by others. Having seeing somebody else do something and wanting to give it a try. Um, it's exciting, man. It relit a fire inside of me that I thought went out a long time ago, and because of having that type of mindset, like I said, I'm excited now, man. What else can I try? What else can I get into?
Yeah.
What else can I accomplish? What else can I go after? I'm reaching my 40th year on this planet, man, and to think that I have so many other things that I can go after and try is exciting to me because I spent a long time being like, man, I'm too old now. I can't get into these things anymore. I can't play basketball anymore. I can't train in different martial arts anymore because I'm not in my prime. I don't need to be. I don't have to be in the shape that I was in
Right.
20 years ago in order to just do something with myself. And so now I'm excited, man. I'm excited to try new things. I'm excited to get out there and test myself in new ways that I didn't even see myself trying. So don't get so hung up on the dream from your teenage years that you're never going to be able to do anymore. Fine. Have dreams in your 30s, have dreams in your 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever it is. You can come up with something new. You can choose to be inspired like we've talked about in the past, and test yourself in different ways, grow in ways that you didn't even think that you'd be able to, because that feeling that you get when you do that and you get those achievements, it's a whole different level of pride that comes inside of you that just feels so good. And so I encourage anybody listening to try new things, try new dreams, and pursue different aspects of life that you never thought that you would ever go after.
Absolutely. And do it now, man. And I'm mad. I keep on saying, as long as it's taken me, I'm like 5 years, 7 years for the rest of my life. And I'm okay with that. God willing, he gives me another 38, right? I would do a little math to kind of put some in perspective. And and hopefully this resonates with some people, because now that we're talking about this, I forgot about this exercise that I did, right? So I'm 38 now. I'll be 39 in a couple of months. Let's say that I have another 38 years to live, right? So there's 24 hours in a day, right? Times 7, which is 168, right? That's how many hours there are in a week, right? Times 52, right? Just 52 weeks in a year.
Yep.
Times 52, that's 8,736, right? Multiply that by 38, right? So that's 331,000 hours that I have left to live, right? But that doesn't account for how many hours we spend at work, right? So 8 hours. Okay, so that's divided by what, 0.33, or you multiply that by, yeah, or we can multiply that. Let's go times 0.33, right? So if I have a 9 to 5 job, which I'm actually about to be doing here in the next couple of months, all right, you do that for the rest of your life. That takes up 109,000 hours of that 331 that you have left, right? So,
And then double that because of sleep.
you're already there. So you got 331,000 minus 219,000. That's 112,000 hours left, which is not a lot at all, bro. 112,000 hours left to live.
So we encourage everybody to quit their job and stop sleeping. We gotta maximize this life that we got left, man. We can't be taking any risks. Quit your job right now.
Quit it right now.
No, but it's all jokes aside. It's all a matter of stop wasting time with the time that you do have, and yeah, try new things. Challenge yourself, make the most of it, live life to the fullest, as they say. I'm gonna throw a lot of cliche sayings out there, but I think the reason why they're so popular is because we forget.
It's truth. Yeah.
We move away from those basic aspects of life, and I think that's why a lot of people, as they get older, they love watching young children, and it reminds them of when they didn't have so many worries and cares in the world, that kids can just kind of go from one moment to the next and just live blissfully in life and be happy. We miss not having as many responsibilities and all that type of stuff. And I think just the main aspect to focus on is that the kids are just making the most of every single moment that they have when they're not, doing homework or whatever the case is. Whenever they get a free moment, they just want to play. They just want to have a good time. They just want to make the most of whatever situation that they're in. That's why they have such a hard time being bored, right? Because they're not having fun. And I think that's just the main thing that we got to get back to as adults, is find whatever moments that you can to have fun, make those memories like you talked about. You know what I mean? Especially being able to share fun moments with others, and then be able to go back and talk about it and reminisce about it.
That's it.
They're great feelings to have. So just do that.
That's where life is at. That's where life is at. It's being in the moment and reflecting on those moments. You talk about being a kid and being blissful and being free and discovering, exploring self, right? And society has trapped us in the school systems and all of the lies that have strayed us away from being that. The fact that we were once that should give us the belief that it's obtainable again. Right. We talked about that. That kind of reminds me of what we talked about before, of the things that we've already accomplished in life. You know, we've already overcome so many obstacles, so many hardships. We've endured, you know, so much suffering and pain through everything that we've gone through. That's a testament. That's a testament right there. That should give you confidence, belief that you're able to accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. You know, you're not even being intentional with the things that you're overcoming, and you're overcoming it like with, you know, flying colors, I would say. You know, maybe it may not
Right.
seem that way, but yeah, we have to get back to that as adults in society. The way society is set up, the way this world is set up, you know, it's even more spiritual than I imagined before. You know, through our emotions, you know, through our beliefs, it's all jaded, and it's all corrupted our minds into believing that we're not capable of achieving something. You know, it's corrupted our minds in believing, you know, that life isn't fulfilling, life isn't blissful. You know, life can't be as happy as you can imagine it. And you know, I want to debunk all of that, man. And this is what we're here for. And ultimately, dreaming is the essence of life. It's the essence of fulfillment. It's the essence of living a happy life. Without dreams, there's life is dead. You're a zombie walking on this earth, unfortunately. And a lot of us are stuck in that wave, stuck in the matrix, right? So dream, dream, and dream, man.
Dream some more.
Dream some more. Dream some more.
Absolutely. And share your dreams. That's a big one too, you know, because again, you don't know who you can inspire. You don't know, you know, hearing somebody else's dreams may inspire you. You know, hopefully that, you know, me talking about some of the things that I've started pursuing will help somebody else, you know, start pursuing something new or trying something new. So don't be afraid to share the dreams that you are having, and be willing to listen to somebody else's dreams too, right? Be there for somebody else the way that you want to be. You want somebody to be there for you. So
That was fresh too. We talked about that. Be the hero or the coach that was missing from your life.
right,
And do that for somebody else.
absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad that we got on here. It was a challenge for a little bit. You know, I was having some laptop issues. The enemy was trying to keep us from having this conversation, but again, I knew that there was a reason for it. You know, whenever there's speed bumps, whenever there's obstacles in the way, I know that there's something greater on the other side. You know,
Absolutely.
rainbows and dust devils and rainbows, right? Another
Man.
shout out to KJ.
Yeah. I love that because I live by that now. You know, it's not dust devils, but I like dust devils as well. But storms, you know, we're going through storms, and I this is through experience, and I learned that there's always a rainbow on the other side. There's always a rainbow on the other side, and you know, taking action, there's always a positive result, whatever it may seem negative, on the other side as well. So start today, have that dream and go after it. Take action, fail forward, embrace mistakes, get back up, and just figure out what piece fits. Because leaving you stuck is like we talked about. What's the worst case scenario? What happens if you don't chase your dreams? Right? That sounds like misery to me, man. So I'm ready to learn. I'm excited to learn better, you know, to learn more and to utilize my time, because time is currency. Time is currency. How you invest it will give you a return, whether that's a big return or no return at all. If you don't invest your time in something that you're trying to pursue, then you're not going to get a return on anything in life. So you either pay now or pay later, right? Because there's really no other option. You know, procrastination and all of that. Pay your dues now so we can live free. Because the sacrificing the what is it, the satisfaction of now for a bigger satisfaction of later. Because ultimately these little pennies that we're exchanging life for, it's not worth it. We're living the 80-20 life, and we're living on the 20% side. So sacrificing, dreaming, taking these next year or two to change. I mean, only takes us 2 years, bro. That's what I feel, honestly. To
2
really
years
just
for the
change
rest
it.
of your life.
2 years for the rest of your life. That's a drop in the bucket, man. 2 years for the rest of your life. That's it. Let's do that. Dig in. 2 years for the rest of your life. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take that trade off.
Yeah, I'll invest my next 2 years for the rest of my life. Most
Let's do
certainly.
it. Let's get to grinding. Get to dreaming.
Get to dreaming.
Right.
Let's get it.
I love it, man. So again, great conversation. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate us getting on here and having it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you next time.